Welcome to Parchment Update, an interview series from the Parchment Community Library to bring your community closer to you. I'm Karen Woodworth, Library Ambassador. Joining me today is Denny Collison from the City of Parchment Parks and Recreation Committee. We're going to talk about the new Parchment Tree Fund. Thank you for being here today.
Glad to be with you. Thanks.
All right, well, I want to start off by asking you the most basic question. What is the Tree Fund?
Well, out of concern for the condition of trees in Parchment and trees in the park, the Parks and Recreation Committee has been considering ways in which we might pay particular attention to trees in public spaces, like the parks and streets, city trees on the streets. So as a starting point, we've looked in ways in which we might deal with trees in Kindleberger Park. The concept of a city fund specifically for trees was presented to the city as a way to allow that care. So as a result, the city has established a separate fund for trees in public spaces like Kindleberger Park to be used for planting new trees and the care and replacement of existing trees. So that's what our tree fund is for.
Well, that sounds great. That sounds great. We had the Kindleberger Festival a few weeks ago, and I was so busy at the library table, I didn't get around to see everybody's booth, but I hear that you had a booth at the festival about the tree fund. So tell us about that.
The Parks and Recreation Committee hosted a booth at that festival, and it was there mainly to promote the tree fund and to make people aware of our trees. And to start, we actually got a phrase, a little title for our promotion here is Parchment Takes Root. It's the year of the tree. And so we'd like to promote that with the tree fund that we have here. We're hoping to build some excitement for trees and the new fund by being part of that festival there. And I got a couple of things I just want to mention that we did there. We had an arborist present at the festival to answer tree questions that anyone might have had if they had a question with a health issue or what to do or what kind of tree to have in an area. We had a representative from Mulder's Nursery there to talk about trees that are available. We had handouts of tree information for trees, tree planting, tree care. But most noticeably, we had a fundraiser while we were there to support the tree fund. The fundraiser was for the tree fund, and it gave individuals a chance to win one of 3 native flowering trees. Those have been awarded, and the people were all excited that won those trees that they got there. We had numerous opportunities to talk with people about trees in general and trees in the park. And it's notable how many people talked about enjoying Kindleberger Park in general and the trees there. It was quite informative for us at that booth.
Yeah, we are really blessed here in Michigan with trees, and especially those trees in Kindleberger Park. It seems like each one of them has their own story. Well, it sounds like you just had a wonderful day of activities and talking to people at the festival. And again, I'm sorry I didn't quite make it there. But if other people happen to miss the booth, how can they still donate to the tree fund?
The tree fund will be an ongoing thing. It'll be a permanent fund with the city. Any interested person can make a tax-deductible donation to the tree fund just by sending that to the City of Parchment, a check to the City of Parchment, and noting clearly on it that it's for the tree fund. A note of explanation is okay, but as long as that check is marked for the tree fund. Those funds will be maintained separately from other funds. That's the purpose of the tree fund, and solely for the care of trees in our public spaces. And at the moment, that means Kindleberger Park, and that might expand in the future. But right now, we're talking Kindleberger Park. We'll be working out details to find out how we might acknowledge donations made in memory or in honor of someone too. So there'll be something yet further to go with that. But donations simply to the city marked for the tree fund.
All right, well, that sounds easy enough. And I know the tree fund is still new, but what are your hopes for this fund going forward?
We're hoping the tree fund will allow us to do more things than just prune trees. That's not just what we're looking for. There are things that are beyond our current budgeting abilities, things that would allow us to be methodical in our approach to the trees in the park. And specifically, there are things we've talked about are a tree inventory. May seem silly or too much information, but it would actually let us identify each tree in the park and later on in other areas too, whatever we may be looking at. Also, an evaluation of trees to find out what trees are healthy, what trees should be pruned, what trees should be removed, if that's the case. And then an overall tree plan. After we get that inventory and an evaluation, we can develop a plan for where would we like to plant more trees, or how could we develop trees in the park in a particular way. From time to time, there are grants available for different purposes. A lot of people that hear about grants that could help us accomplish these things, can help us stretch our budget dollars just a little bit further. There's an urban forestry grant that's available through the state of Michigan that we're looking at right now that will help us out with that. Grants usually require a matching fund amount, percentage of what you're asking for. And by having this fund, that would give us some matching funds to use in applying for grants. So it would help us that way. By having this tree fund, we can actually stretch our dollars to hopefully accomplish more than what our own single dollar bill will do. So those are some things we've considered for the future for our tree fund.
Those are all pretty exciting projects, I think. Well, before we wrap up today, what else would you like us to know?
I think many people don't consider the real value of trees. I think a lot of people consider a tree. We even heard this comment at the booth in the Kindleberger Festival. There's just another tree to mow around, you know. Well, mowing around trees, while it may be a little bit of a hassle, or having to rake leaves in the fall, is not such a bad thing, because trees are really necessary for us. Some might not think so, but people should consider that trees take in carbon dioxide. They're actually removing carbon from the air. That's part of the item of climate change that many people talk about. Believer or not for that, trees do remove carbon from the air. They breathe in carbon dioxide. And in reverse from that, they give off oxygen that we need to breathe, you know, so that helps us out that way. It's part of our circle of life here. Remove the carbon, give off oxygen. They also provide a good amount of cooling to people. If you've got a tree next to your house, it shades your house, saves you a lot of energy costs right there too. Makes the neighborhood, the park, more walkable to walk. Where do you go on a hot summer day, but you go sit in the shade of a tree somewhere. I think trees also increase home values. A lot with trees in it is more valuable than just a plain open lot. A lot of things that people do first when they move into a home, if it's a new home, is to get some landscaping trees planted around there. And they also make our community. There's no doubt about it. People enjoy walking down a tree-lined street or through a tree-filled park more so than through an open field somewhere. So, especially on a hot summer day. We hope to have information about the tree fund available on the City of Parchment website, and hopefully at a table of some sort in the Parchment Community Library. Talk to you later about that. Just so that people have information available. If they have a question, they know where to find the answer to questions. I think it's very important for the health and enjoyment of residents that we maintain a healthy environment. And having trees in the community through some of these things I've just mentioned here helps to do that. The tree fund is really just our starting point. We're just getting this going now, but as the concept takes hold, we hope to increase the importance of parchment takes root.
Well, that's a great slogan. We'll be happy to see about having a table with some information on it here. And
Good.
you've certainly given us many, many reasons to love trees, although I'm sure many of us already love trees.
I hope they do, and hopefully more will. So
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share the information today.
thanks for letting us share it with you.